I was like any other devotee, demanding Baba. I was never think of me doing something to others. Until that, I was taking from Baba. But that moment, Baba taught me two things. One is his love for me, one thing, because I felt that is very personal, the way he was talking to me. And the second thing, how Baba loves us when we are helping others. Om Sai Ram, everyone. This is Murali. I'm living in Shirdi. Today I am being blessed to get this divine opportunity of giving this interview to Adesh Sainath channel of our Mahesh brother. Today I'm going to share my experiences, my journey with our Shirdi Sai Baba, and that's what I'm going to share now. Before getting into my details, my experiences with our Sai, I just want to give one, I just want to share one small thing that, I'm living in Shirdi. As I told you, I'm living in Shirdi. I'm writing about our Sai Baba. I already published one book. It is all about our Baba's Guru Parampara. That is what I'm focusing on. And because I have one intention on writing that, I want to know who is Baba's Guru. Because he is the one, Baba's Guru, he is the one who gave us our Guru, Sai Baba. So I want to know more about Baba's Guru. So that is why I'm living here. I already published one book introducing Baba's Guru Parampara. But, before explaining about my book or my experiences living here, I wanted to introduce myself, from my childhood actually. Because my journey, from the day I born, I can say that from the day I born, it started with our Baba. Now I'm 54. I'm 54 years old. 1972. I born in 1972, and I born in Mylapore, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, and very near to our Baba's Mandir, which is in Mylapore, which is built by P.V. Narasimha Swami, which is very famous Baba Temple in one of the very oldest Baba Temple, which is nearly 80 years old, Baba Mandir. I born and brought up very near to that, just 1 minute walkable distance from the Mandir. So my journey started from there. My journey with our Guru Sai started from that Mandir. When I born in Thursday. That's another thing which I wanted to share. Because, we all know that Thursday is very special for us. Because though it's a Guruvar, it is our Guruvar. So I consider myself so blessings that I born during Tuesday, that was one Purnima. So I've been blessed to born on that day. And my journey started with Sai from that day itself. And then, I don't know when I started, going to our Baba's Mandir, but when I was a very small fellow, like 2-3 years old, that I'm talking about some 52 years ago, I very well remember I used to play there with my friends. I used to live there actually. I used to play there, everything, much of my evenings after the school hours, I used to spend there. And I used to play with my friends. We used to play Ice Boy and all that stuff. Like that, my life went on. And when I was grow up, I was like doing seva there. Because much of the Mandir people, I know them. So it is just 1 minute walkable distance. So evening, I'll be spending my time. I used to study. I used to do the group study with my friends there. So that time, not big crowd. So we'll be sitting there. We'll be playing, we'll be studying. Sometimes I slept there in the steps. Sometimes I slept there. It's a very beautiful memories that I'm carrying. And that is how my journey with our Baba started. And when I was in the Mandir, I don't know much about our Baba. But I always wonder, who is this Swami? He is looking very different from others. He's looking so compassionate with his, beautiful smile. So compassionate. I always wonder, who is this Swami? And then the Mandir is in such a setup that Baba's, the main Vigraha, Murti will be there. Behind that, there is a meditation Mandir where P.V. Narasimha Swami's idol will be there, Murti will be there. So, I used to wonder, who are these people? So, I wondered that a lot. So, slowly I was growing up, and when I was growing up, I heard a lot of Baba's miracle. And at that time, I didn't read Satcharitra, Sri Satcharitra, but I used to watch Baba serials and all that stuff. So my life was going on. My childhood life was going on like that in our Baba's Mandir in Mylapore. And like any other devotee, I will be demanding a lot with our Baba to do this, that, In the exam, I want to pass this much, I want to score this much, I want the cycle, I want bike. Like that, my demands started growing, and I was demanding our Baba like any other devotee. And one day during my college days, I think so, that time we moved from Mylapore to another place called Tiruvallikeni, where we were living there. That time, one evening, I was stepping out to visit one of my friends. So when I came out, coming out from my house, I saw a little girl crying, maybe some 5-6 years old girl. She was weeping and crying. So I asked her, "No, why you are crying?" She said that she came along with her elder brother to play, but now she lost her brother and she's searching for her brother, and she doesn't know where to go, how to go back her home. So I asked her, "No, what is the way? How is the the landmarks, all that stuff?" So the way she explained, I understood it is some 2-3 streets away. So I took her back to that place, and slowly she was identifying the place. And when we reached her street, I saw her mom and brother searching for her, came running, and they had the family reunion happen. And then they said thanks, everything. Then I was so happy to see the family reunion, and I came back. When I came back home, I was entering the home, and I saw, in those times, Doordarshan serial was going on. One of Baba's serial, old serial. I saw, when I entered, Baba's face was close up. In the TV screen, I saw Baba's face was so close up, like looking at us and talking. And Baba said, exactly, when I'm entering, Baba's face in the close-up, and Baba says this, like that was in Tamil, dubbed. Baba said, whenever, I'm translating in English, Baba said like this, I can barely remember, this is the dialogue that I heard when I entered. Baba said, "Whenever you help the stranger, you are mine. I love you a lot," something like that, This is the message, it was very personal to me. I felt like Baba is talking to me. And see, until that moment, I was like any other devotee, demanding Baba. I was never think of me doing something to others. Until that, I was taking from Baba. But that moment, Baba taught me 2 things. One is his love for me, one thing, because I felt that is very personal, the way he was talking to me. And the second thing, how Baba loves us when we are helping others. The way the compassion, because Baba is full of compassion. He is the incarnation of compassion and love. And that's what Baba taught me that day, how to be so compassionate, how we can help the society, others. That was a big impact in my heart. Because, right from my childhood, because of my dad or others, I have this tendency of helping others. But when I got this appreciation from our Baba, that was a really big inspiration for me. That's one of the things which I can't forget ever. So that's a big turning point for me, because from that moment, I started feeling like Baba is conversing with me. I felt like Baba is talking with me. So in many instances, I had this kind of thing, I will put something in front of Baba. Baba, that should happen, this should happen, I want to do this, that. And somewhere I'll be getting some information from some other direction, or some other people, or some other means and dimensions. So this was going on. And I was into my life, studying and working, and all that stuff went on. And then I did my computer science and master of computer applications, and then I started working in USA for a quite long time. Then I came back to India to take care of my dad. This is somewhere in 2011. This happened when I came back to take care of my dad. And he is very close to me. And within some few months, he passed away. That was a personal tragedy. That time was very, very crucial in my life in a spiritual way, because that was actually a blessing in disguise, because that opportunity gave me a better prospect for me to understand our Sadguru Sai. So this happened when my dad passed away that evening. That evening after came back from cremation, I was so tired and I fall asleep. The next day when I got up, it took some few seconds for me to understand that my dad is not there. So it was very painful for me. And that night again, I fall asleep. And the next day when I got up, again took some few seconds for me to understand that my dad is not there. This continued. Every day I will get up and then I will realize he is not there. That will become a big pain for me. So it went on like that. And then actually it went on for weeks. And then I was afraid to sleep. Because, if I sleep the next day, this thing, I will be missing him, more pain. So I was afraid to sleep, but nature will take its control. I will fall asleep and the same thing continued. And this went on for days. And one day this happened when I slept. And little later, I had a dream. In my dream, I saw my dad is back. I was so happy. In the dream, I asked my mother, how is that possible? He said he's back. So my mom said that, we should be happy, whatever. He's back, we should be happy like that. So I was so happy. And then I got up. I got up with that happiness actually. But I realized again, it is a dream. And it was a more pain than earlier. Again, this happened. This continued for some more weeks. So I became so mad and insane that, one side I was missing my dad. The other side, the dream is coming and doing all this thing. So it went on. So the pain becomes so intense. One day when I fall asleep, again the dream came and he came, my dad came. But this time something else happened, that in the dream, I myself warning that this is dream, don't fall for it. This is dream, so this is not real, so don't fall for it. So nothing got disturbed. When I got up, there was no pain. I got up with no pain, okay, everything fine, but something else I started thinking. Who was that, that was warning me in the dream? Because I know it is me, actually. I was saying to myself that don't fall for it. It is a dream. But I was wondering, how it is possible for me to be aware, when I was dreaming. Because, see, from my childhood, I always, put a lot of questions. Because I'm very much interested in science, I started learning cosmology, quantum physics and all that stuff from the very teenage itself. I used to search for, I go to library, I will learn such big books like quantum physics. And, so I always wonder, whenever something happens, I will question. I won't accept it immediately, I will question. So when this thing happened, I started questioning, what is this? How I was aware during the dream. So this, because, as I told you that I'm having a lot of questions. One of the questions is, who is God? Because spiritually I was searching for that. So though I born and brought up in a very traditional, ritualistic, religious family, my mom and dad, but I was questioning everything. Though I respect the rituals the elders taught me, I will do that, but still I will question why we are doing that. Why this God is like this, like that, When I started reading Purans and Idihasas and the Upanishads and Vedas, along with the quantum physics and other sciences, my questions started, in a big way. So when my dad passed away, following that incident of dream and I'm being aware in the dream, the natural instinct of questioning everything, again, that crossed and I started wondering why I was getting this dream. So I was behind that. I was, I went to Tiruvannamalai, I stayed there. Many things happened. Following this incident, many things happened. I was asking many questions. One thing which I wanted to share is when we again came back to our old house in Mylapore. When we are staying there were a lot of mosquitoes. One night I was working. This happened in 2012, early 2012, I think so, maybe in January 2012. This happened that when I was working in the late night, I got bitten by one mosquito on my left arm. So I, took my right arm without my knowledge because I never used to kill mosquitoes. But my arm came this way to slap it, but I stopped what I'm doing. And then I started thinking, what kind of creation is this? Why there is a mosquito? When human beings are there, why is the mosquitoes there? What kind of creation is this? Then the science came to an answer, there is an ecological balance. Everything is there for an ecological balance. And I started thinking, if God created everything, God would have, created all this creation with a default ecological balance. Why God created mosquitoes to have an ecological balance? So that gave me a thought, a very provoking thought that suddenly I had a out-of-box thinking that creation never happened the way it happened. Why I am sharing all this? Because these kind of questions led me towards my Sadguru Sai. Because these questions only made me to understand and realize the spiritual magnanimity of our Sai. That is why I am sharing all this. So the science question was not satisfactory for me, because we are thinking that God created everything. So I was thinking, like, if God created everything, why God didn't create everything with a default ecological balance? So I was not convinced. Suddenly a thought came in me, that out of box, that the creation never happened the way we are thinking. We have been told that such a thing, God created all these things. But what I thought, creation never happened the way it happened. Definitely there is something, a super intelligence is there that created all this, because in front of me there is a creation, the whole universe, the world, everything is there. Of course, I'm also thinking about that. So there is a very intelligence creation is there, but I don't know what is that. I wanted to know that. So with all these questions carrying in my head, and I was searching for the answer, I went and stayed in Tiruvannamalai. I met many Swamijis, but I didn't get any answers. I came back, because that was the time I started my business. So my business was demanding my presence. So I came back and I was focusing on my business, and business went on well. And I started another branch in Bangalore. So it happened that I started living in Bangalore. It was one beautiful apartment, Lakeview apartment. This is my routine every day. Morning, I'll be going to office, and coming back in the evening, I'll take my shower, I'll grab my dinner, I'll sit in the balcony. There is a very beautiful balcony, the Lakeview, and there is an apartment. The kids will be playing in the underground. On the floor, ground floor, and elders will be working. This is everyday thing I used to watch. That was my routine. So one day I was coming back from office. I'm sharing this because an important thing happened during this time. That's why I'm sharing this. So one day when I was coming back from my office, I saw a lot of people gathered in the opposite apartment. Because I forgot to tell you, there is the opposite apartment. As I told you, the routines, like the kids will be playing, elders will be walking, beautiful sky will be there. But at the opposite apartment, strangely, a girl, she, a mother of two, she used to dry the clothes in the evening. So all this will happen every day. So that evening when I came back from office, I saw a crowd gathered on the entrance of the opposite apartment. I asked the security guy what happened. He said, "Sir, the girl living on the top floor took her life." So that that was the time slowly I was coming out from my dad's passed away. So this happened in 2013. I'm talking 1 year, one and a half years later after my dad's passing away. So I was slowly coming out, but this again affected me, but I didn't take it seriously. I came back to my apartment. Again, I was into my routine, took shower, grabbed my dinner. I came to the balcony. I sat there. Then I saw the sky was there. The kids are playing, the elders are walking, but that girl was missing. I saw the kids. That the balcony was empty. The opposite apartment balcony was empty. Again, the bitterness of the life, death, that hit me, because I was coming slowly. I was recovering from my dad's passing away. Now this girl's thing that hit me, and I started thinking about what is this all about? What is this? What is life? This made me something, because I was very intensely, I was thinking about that. And then, so I was very intensely in the thought of this. What is life? What is death? I was so much involved in the thoughts. So much so that I stopped going to my office. I was not taking care of my business, that much of intensity of thoughts, because I want to know. Hope you people can understand the intensity of my, to know the answer, because I was slowly coming out from my dad's thing. That was a personal thing. From my childhood, I always wanted to know what is the truth, what is this creation is, what is God, everything. And death was one, way of, the nature's way of reminding us to understand God. So this girl's, demise again made me to start think about what is all that. So I was so intensely into that of what is this life is all about. Days went on, and one day something extraordinary happened, that in a fraction of a second I get answers for everything. Less than a fraction of a second. You know, in Buddhism, this experience is called Satori. There I got an experience that everything I realized, I experienced as Maya, everything as Maya. But only one thing was there. That is presence of my Guru. I clearly, experienced that my Guru Sai is there. Until that moment, of course, I was like any other devotee. I was having his photo in my wallet. Everything was there. But because of life's thing, I was never into that much ardent devotee towards our Sai. But that moment, when I realized, in my experience, I realized because everything disappeared as Maya, I experienced that. But in that experience, I saw Baba. Everything vanished, but Baba was there. I cannot explain all that because it is very, with my limited knowledge and limited senses, I cannot explain what I experienced because that is beyond the experience of the senses. But one thing I can very surely say that Baba was there. In that, everything disappeared, only Baba was there with this beautiful smile. And what I saw in that is Baba's Dwarakamai pose, that pensive pose, like he'll be like that. That's what I have in my house. From that day, that photo became my favorite. All the time I will be having that photo. I clearly saw Baba sitting there and smiling at me. But when everything is vanished, disappeared, only I can see Baba with his mud-stained kafni and his beautiful smile. That I clearly saw. And I was amazed. And I was in that state for a quite long time. And many things happened after that. But that gave me a very good wisdom, I can say, a realization. So in Buddhism, as I told you, it is called Satori. People can search what is Satori. It is an instant experience of, reality. I can say that way. So that gave me the answer for everything. Everything that I was looking for. How creation happened, what is God, everything. So from that moment, everything narrowed down. No search, nothing. My only search, my only, path is only Sai. Because I clearly saw Sai sitting in front of me with that pensive pose and, beautiful smile. From that moment, I decided, okay, this is the truth. Now I want to go behind that truth. I want to know more about that because it lasted less than a second, few seconds. Then it disappeared. Only, after that I got only the reminiscence or the residual of that experience. But only thing, the beautiful moment was like I saw Sai, but everything disappeared. When I say disappeared, my family, my friends, my business, everything disappeared. I literally realized those are all Maya. It was very frightening actually. Okay, I forgot to tell you that. It was very frightening because whatever you are thinking true, that moment it becomes false, that unreality, Maya. So definitely you will be losing your ground in that reality. But in that moment, my Sadguru was there. That moment I realized he is my Sadguru because he was there. I was like, it felt so pleasant in that very terrifying moment. His presence was giving me confidence and, like consoling. It was very consoling and soothing. Then, as I told you, after that, my search narrowed down. And I went and because I want to sustain that moment, that experience. So I started learning many things. I was initiated into Kriya Yoga, Vasi Yoga, all that stuff. And then I was practicing all that. Also, life has its own thing. And I was into my business. My business was growing on the other side. On the other side, my spiritual desire, spiritual quest was also there in the form of yoga. I was practicing yoga. In the weekends, I'll be practicing yoga. I want to tell you this. It's very important because this one I'm going to connect with my present living here in Shirdi because during 2013, I was initiated into the Kriya Yoga and Vasi Yoga. After that, I practiced 12 years until I came to Shirdi. I was practicing this yoga. What I will do, during Saturdays, late evenings, I will sit inside my cabin and I will ask my friend to lock it outside So because during mostly Saturdays, no visitors will be there. So undisturbed time. So that is the best time I chosen to do it's kind of a samadhi path yoga, where I'll be reaching certain consciousness. It is like a sleep cycle. Slowly I will get into the different conscious level, and then slowly I will come back to the body consciousness. It will take 4.5 hours in an average, sometimes 6 hours also. So I gave an instruction to my friend that to lock me outside, from the outside. And then I told him if there is no message calls from me for the 6 hours, then I told him to open the doors, and I gave him specific instruction how to wake me up to bring me back to the body consciousness. So I was doing, fortunately such a thing never happened. I was, gradually I'll be back to my body consciousness. It was going on. So slowly that was uplifting me in my spiritual, my spiritual things, wisdoms. So it was going on. On the other side, my business was going on. I have a big responsibility as a father, because my daughter that time, she wanted to, do her masters in USA. So that needs a lot of money. So that I was behind the money. So though I wanted to know more about Baba and all that thing, but still I was running behind the money. And once my daughter finished her BTech, when she wanted to apply for the US, something significant happened in my life. And that moment made me something, that I want to know more about Baba and his guru. That is what I wanted to share now.